Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to call to order the meeting of the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners. We're calling on Commissioner Turner to lead us in prayer and then also lead us in the pledge to the flag.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you again, Lord, for another wonderful day. Lord, thank you for all the families that are represented here this evening. Lord, I ask that you be with each one of us as we make decisions tonight that affect not only us, Lord, but the citizens of Rutherford County. Help us to make wise decisions after seeking counsel with you, Lord, and that we're able to articulate our thoughts and our ideas behind what we want to do and what our constituents want us to do to represent them for the county. Thank you again for the good news with Commissioner Phillips, Lord. Thank you for the healthy birth of her child. And we think about the soldiers, Lord, that are overseas serving to protect us. I ask that you just put a shield around them of protection, Lord. Keep them safe and bring them home. I ask this in the name of Jesus. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Schaefer. Here. Commissioner Black. Here. Commissioner Jordan. Here. Commissioner P. Here. Commissioner Cook. Here. Commissioner Jernigan. Commissioner Farley.
Here.
Commissioner Phillips. Commissioner Sandlin. Commissioner Turner. Here. Commissioner Allen.
Here.
Commissioner Stevens.
Here.
Commissioner Jordan.
Here.
Commissioner Baum.
Here.
Commissioner Coggin.
Present.
Commissioner Young.
Here.
Commissioner Phillips.
Present.
Commissioner McAdoo.
Here.
Commissioner Ely.
Here.
Commissioner Gooch.
Here.
Commissioner Sereno. 19 present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. You have before you a copy of the minutes of the last meeting. Do we have a motion considering its approval? Commissioner Phillips.
Mr. Chairman, I review those minutes, find them in order, and move their approval.
And then second from Commissioner Jernigan. Any corrections or additions? There being none, all in favor, then please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. We have two resolutions of recognition tonight, and we're honored to recognize these people. So we'd like to first call on Commissioner Turner on behalf of the Rock Springs Middle School girls basketball team.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know there's several individuals here from Rock Springs Middle. If those folks would come up front with me and please stand, I would appreciate it. Give them a couple seconds to get up here. Pretty packed house. You guys can just line up on either side, whichever side. Whereas Rutherford County has an outstanding reputation for success in all areas of athletic competition, both in the public schools and private leagues, and has been duly recognized for such achievements both at the local and state level. Whereas the Rock Springs Middle School Lady Knights basketball team has been part of that success for well over a decade in their classification, including winning the 2012-2013 Rutherford County Tournament for the 5th time in the last 10 years. And whereas the Lady Knights continued their march towards the championship, winning not only the county regular season championship, but the aforementioned county tournament as well as the Overbrook Classic Championship. Whereas the culmination of a year-long goal resulted in a state title as the Lady Knights defeated the Lady Cougars of Christiana to cap a perfect season with a 25-0 record. Recognition is hereby extended and congratulations is offered to team members Tyra Hughes, Brandy Furby, Brianna Furby, Keisha Brady, Kaya Clark, Jane Mao, Kaylee Snyder, Chandler DeMoss, Kyra Wilder, Lexi Caprone, Amanda Eldridge, Neely Batts, Faith Wilkin, manager Reagan Norman, assistant coach Sarah Conifay, and head coach Terry Patient. Whereas the accomplishments of these ladies, not only athletically but academically, should encourage all of those involved as parents, students, citizens, and elected leaders of this county, and serve as a reminder to us all of what a unified body can accomplish when the focus is on a singular goal and not driven by personal ambitions. Now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that this legislative body extend this resolution of recognition to the Rock Springs Lady Knights basketball team for its outstanding accomplishment of an undefeated season, and to head coach Terry Patient, assistant coach Sarah Conifay, and the administration and teachers who have dedicated time and commitment to these student athletes. Resolved this 14th day of March 2013. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Second by many, many others, including Commissioner Allen and Farley. All live in favor of that, then please say aye. Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it. Thank you, ladies.
Pretty obvious Rutherford County is becoming the basketball capital of Tennessee, and maybe even further than that. So thank you very much. Now, Commissioner Jeff Jordan, on behalf of Scotty Boykin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Unlike Coach Patient, who needed a number of people to do what he did, Scotty only needed one. And I'd like for Scotty to come on up. Scotty Boykin and his brother Nicholas is with us. I think he's coming. And Officer Sean Jones and the lady who started all this, Scotty's mother, Jennifer. Those of you that might be confused, I'm Commissioner Jordan. This is Scotty right here. And it appears, as I've already pointed out to them, that Nicholas, who's in the 8th grade, right? Christiana Cougar, in about 6 more months is going to be heavier, stronger, meaner, and taller than Scotty. And Scotty is graduating. I think that we need to point out to everyone what many people already know. This is all about when we get to honor people like Rock Springs, for instance, and their perfect season, and Scotty for his perfect season. It's all about opportunities. And this body and the one before and the one before that has, that I think, very wise, along with Director Gill and Director Watson and on back, to offer opportunities and chances for people to excel. This young man to my right has excelled, but there are others. Riverdale High School right now seems to be full of them, but they're everywhere. We've honored Smyrna, Siegel, Blackman, track athletes from Laverne, and a number of other schools, and of course Riverdale football, Oakland football. I mean, we've been very blessed here, and this is kind of fun. Okay, the resolution of recognition. Scotty Boykin, state wrestling champion. Whereas Riverdale High School senior Scotty Boykin recently won the state wrestling championship in the 195-pound class, and whereas this was Riverdale's first state champion in wrestling in 39 years, and whereas Scotty is a former outstanding student athlete at Christiana Middle School and a former wrestler for the Rutherford County Sharpshooter Wrestling Program, and whereas as a Riverdale wrestler, Scotty had the good fortune to be coached by faculty member Ben Bowers and SR officer Sean Jones, both of which are dedicated to the Riverdale wrestling team, and whereas in addition to being a gifted athlete, Scotty's an outstanding student with a GPA of 3.15, and whereas he finished his senior season at 42-0, unbeaten state champion. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that we extend this resolution of recognition to Scotty Boykin for winning the state wrestling championship, resolved this 14th day of March 2003. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
And second, Commissioner Schaefer and Baum and others. All in favor, then, please say aye.
I think Officer Jones would like to speak, and I want to point out something that almost all of you in here know, and that is that our SROs all over the county are working with various programs within each school, and almost all of them, wherever I have been or visited, an SRO is coaching on the bench somewhere involved in the program. And Officer Jones is well noted for his contributions at Riverdale High School, and I think he'd like to say a word about Scotty and maybe the wrestling program, whatever. Officer Jones, please. Yes, sir.
First and foremost, all of you guys, I'd like to say thank you personally for allowing me and the rest of the SROs in our county to do what we do. Mr. Jordan spoke on Scotty's accomplishments on the mat and also in the classroom, so I can't really go further than that. Great student, but to put a title on Scotty of how good of a kid he is hard to do. We at Riverdale and my team will miss him greatly, and we thank you all personally.
Okay, next we have a time for public comments, and we've had 2 people to sign up. I don't see one of them, but is Mr. Sean Berry in our audience? I don't believe he's with us, so we'll go on then to Mr. Donald Todd.
My name is Donald Todd, and I live at 633 Buck Lane. Keep our constitutional freedom in Rutherford County or surrender to dictatorship under the United Nations. In 2005, the goal of the Tennessee Municipal League, which is a dangerous agency of the United Nations, was to force Rutherford County to adopt a Metro Charter government, which, if adopted, would have prevented constitutionally elected officials from performing their normal governmental responsibilities and duties. Fortunately, this Metro Charter government was absolutely and convincingly rejected. In 2013, when we look at the kind of pressure tactics being used by Metro's Tennessee Municipal League to interfere with the constitutional rights of the citizens of Rutherford County, it should alert us to the dangerous plans being forced upon us by people who think that our God-given Constitution is an outdated and antiquated document. One issue of great importance needs to be addressed as we intensify our fight against socialistic Metro's efforts to destroy citizen self-rule here in Rutherford County and elsewhere. Apparently, financial arm-twisting tactics are being used to force the Tennessee legislators not to adopt any laws which would give our county commissioners the right to recycle millions and millions of dollars of surplus revenue to the next fiscal year's budget, and at the same time leave this surplus in the original fund to which the appropriation was originally made. This recycling would easily eliminate any shortfall, thereby avoiding the necessity for an increase in taxes. Why is our state and county governments bowing to the socialistic whims of Metro's Tennessee Municipal League? It appears that Metro agents have threatened to withhold federal grants from Tennessee if our county officials continue to hold on to our surplus revenue. Why haven't our county commissioners been permitted to vote on how our surplus revenue is to be used? Rutherford County is currently calling for a tax increase unnecessarily. However, we have enough surplus revenue with which to recycle it and prevent a tax increase. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Todd. Next, we're ready for elections and confirmations, and we'll call on Commissioner Gooch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, steering has several items for your consideration this evening. On your desk, you will find a copy of notary candidates, and I will move for their election, Mr. Chair.
Second, Commissioner, who was that, please? Philip, excuse me. All right. All of you in favor of that, then please say aye. Are there any opposed? Thank you very much.
Second, we need to announce a vacancy on the Equalization Board. We need to announce an appointment of Judicial Commissioner Rhonda Campbell and to announce the reappointment of Helen Colvin to the Smyrna Rutherford County Airport Authority. Thank you.
Mr. Gooch, I think on the appointment of the Judicial Commissioner, we need to vote on that one in particular, okay? The other one is just an announcement.
Okay. I move for that approval, Mr. Chair.
Second, Commissioner Farley. All in favor of the appointment of Rhonda Campbell as a judicial commissioner, please say aye. And then you did note that we are just announcing the reappointment of Helen Cobb into the Smyrna Rutherford County Airport Authority Board, which she has ably served for a number of years now, and they're doing a great job. So that's just an announcement there. There is no unfinished business. We do not have tonight any public hearings. And so we do have a monthly report from our purchasing committee. Do we have a motion on approving the report from the purchasing committee? Commissioner Cook, and a second, Commissioner Schaefer. Any questions? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you very much. Now Commissioner Ely will give us a report from the Budget, Finance, and Investment Committee.
Item K2A, the General Fund Budget Amendments. Be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the general fund be amended as follows. From the Board of Equalization and Appraisal, Board of Equalization Consultants, $3,000. This is to provide funding for the Cost Analysis Valuation System subscription. To reappraisal, other supplies and materials, $3,000. Miscellaneous from building codes, from miscellaneous gasoline, $6,000 to building codes gasoline, $6,000. Miscellaneous fire and rescue, from miscellaneous gasoline, $15,200 to fire and rescue diesel fuel, $12,000, fire and rescue gasoline, $3,200. Restricted for capital projects, increased revenue, a miscellaneous refund of $10,723. This is regarding the Sheriff's Department Dispatch Office to increased for restricted for capital projects, $10,723. Operating transfers for the Elam Road Fire Hall from miscellaneous judgments, $178,300 to transfers to other funds, $178,300. Sheriff's Department and Jail, increased revenue from contributions and gifts, $2,400. Increased expenditures from the Sheriff's other contracted services, $2,390, and other supplies and materials, $10. Increased revenues from contributions and gifts, $500. Increased expenditures, Sheriff other contracted services, $500. Increased revenue from sale of supplies and materials, $1,964. Increased expenditures, Sheriff other contracted services, $1,536, and other supplies and materials, $428. Increased revenue from sale of recycled materials, $6,421. Increased expenditures, jail maintenance and repair of buildings, $1,281. Other supplies and materials, $5,140. From Sheriff's Department overtime pay, $2,500, and related benefits. To sex offender registry overtime pay, $2,500, and related benefits. From Sheriff's Department overtime pay, $15,000, and the related benefits. To the jail overtime pay, $15,000, and the related benefits. Resolved this 14th day of March, 2013. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Second from Commissioner P. Any questions? All right, please cast your votes.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the votes. All of those who are in favor of that, then please hold your hand up. Are there any opposed? That is unanimous. Let the record reflect. Thank you.
Item K2B, Drug Control Fund Budget Amendment. Be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the Drug Control Fund be amended as follows. Drug enforcement, increased revenue from contributions and gifts, $414. Increased expenditures, animal food and supplies, $414. Resolved this 14th day of March, 2013. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Second, Commissioner Sandlin. Can we assume it's still not working, Mr. Robertson? All of you in favor of that, then please hold your hand. It has to be a counted vote. All right, that's unanimous. Thank you very much, Ms. Ely.
Item K2C, Special Purpose Fund Budget Amendment. Be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the Special Purpose DEA Fund be amended as follows. Sheriff's Department increased revenue from asset forfeiture funds, $9,496. Increased expenditures for confidential enforcement, $9,496. Resolved this 14th day of March, 2013. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Second from Commissioner Sereno. Any discussion? All right, please hold your hand. Those that are in favor. Again, that is unanimous. Thank you very much.
Item K2D, a Solid Waste Sanitation Fund Budget Amendment. Be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the Solid Waste Sanitation Fund be amended as follows. For the Convenience Center, from assigned for public health and welfare, $131,000. Convenience Center site development, $92,000. To land, $223,000. Resolved this 14th day of March, 2013. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Have a second? Second, Commissioner Gooch. Commissioner Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Of course, last month we debated this issue very heavily, and the Commission voted 13-7 to adopt this transfer, and there's no need for us to hash out all those arguments again tonight. This is simply a budget transfer, so I call for the question.
Have a second? Commissioner Jordan and Farley. All in favor of the question, please hold your hand up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have to have at least a 2/3 majority. That's the reason I'm asking you to do that. Okay? Because I can't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So I counted 17. Those opposed, if we want to be sure I didn't miss anyone. Those opposed to calling the question. 1, 2, 3. All right, we're ready for the question. It passed. All right, all of you in favor of this Solid Waste Sanitation Fund Budget Amendment, please hold your hand up. All right, and it would be easier for me just to count those that say they're opposed. How many do we have opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so they're 15-5. All right, that motion passed. Continue on, Ms. Ely.
On your recording tonight on this hand, or is it documented who each person is voted for or against on any of these issues?
This is the only one we've had. No, I didn't make a note of that unless Mr. Spence here has been.
I think we probably need to make sure of that, I'd imagine, on who's voted
right.
for or against, just for the record to be clear, I think.
All right, so let's, I can get those five people that voted no. We can get.
Mr. Chairman, if we break a roll call, I think it'd probably be easier on the clerk as well as everybody else.
All right, roll call on this last motion on the Solid Waste Sanitation Fund Budget Amendment. Mrs. Clerk, please call the roll. Yes or no?
Commissioner Schaefer?
No.
Commissioner Black?
No.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Cook? Yes. Commissioner Jernigan? Commissioner Farley?
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin? No. Commissioner Turner? No. Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Jordan? Yes. Commissioner Baum? Yes. Commissioner Coggin?
Yes.
Commissioner Young? No. Commissioner Phillips? Aye. Commissioner McAdoo? No. Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch? Yes. Commissioner Sereno. 14 yes, 6 no.
Item K2E, a resolution
Just a
authorizing...
minute, Ms. Ely.
I
Excuse us
apologize.
just a moment. Let the record reflect that it was 14-6 on this last vote. Now, I have been reminded that we didn't have a roll call vote, Mr. Sandlin, on the call for the question. Do you wish us to do that as well? We had only 3 people to say no on that. All right, so those 3 that voted no on the call for the question, would you hold your hand up again? Mr. Young, Mr. Black, and there was and Mr. Sandlin. Those were the 3 that voted no on the call for the question. All right, now you may proceed, Mrs. Ely.
We're ready for item K2E, a resolution authorizing the 2013 OJJDP grant application for the Juvenile Detention Center. Whereas Rutherford County has been notified of available grant funds under the 2013 Community-Based Violence Prevention Demonstration Program through the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, and whereas the Rutherford County Juvenile Detention Center desires to submit an application for the said grant in conjunction with the Smyrna Police Department, which requires no matching funds. Therefore, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the county mayor and any other appropriate officials of Rutherford County be and are hereby authorized to submit an application to the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention for the 2013 Community-Based Violence Prevention Program grant requiring no matching funds. Resolved this 14th day of March 2013. I move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second, Commissioner Cook. Any questions or discussion? All in favor of that, then, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is unanimous. Thank you.
Item K2F, a resolution authorizing a grant partnership between MTSU and ambulance service from the National Institute of Health. Whereas Rutherford County has been made aware of a 1-year grant through the National Institute of Health in the approximate amount of $80,000 requiring no matching funds. And whereas a partnership is being proposed between Middle Tennessee State University, Rutherford County Emergency Medical Service, and National Health Corporation to apply for said grant, and if awarded, the grant funds would be used to reduce the number of individuals who make unnecessary calls to the ambulance service and emergency rooms in order to improve efficiency. Therefore, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the county mayor and any other appropriate officials be and are hereby authorized to submit a grant application to the National Institute of Health for a 1-year grant in the approximate amount of $80,000 requiring no matching funds. Resolved this 14th day of March 2013. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Second, Commissioner Farley. Any questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor of that, then, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That is unanimous.
Item K2G, a resolution of the Industrial Development Board of Rutherford County authorizing the issuance of revenue bonds for Goodwill Industries of Middle Tennessee. Whereas at the meeting on February 27, 2013, the Industrial Development Board of Rutherford County adopted a resolution acknowledging its intent to issue revenue bonds in the total amount not to exceed $10 million in one or more issues and or series to be loaned to Goodwill Industries of Middle Tennessee, Inc., to assist it in financing a portion of the cost of acquiring 3 parcels of real property located in Hendersonville, Murfreesboro, and Mount Juliet, Tennessee, and constructing and equipping on each site an approximately 30,000 square foot facility to house a retail store, Donation Center, and Career Solutions Training Center to be operated by the company. Therefore, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the Industrial Development Board of Rutherford County, Tennessee, be and is hereby authorized to execute all necessary documents for the issuance of revenue bonds by the Industrial Development Board of Rutherford County, Tennessee, in an amount not to exceed $10 million, in accordance with a resolution duly adopted by the Industrial Development Board of Rutherford County, Tennessee, a copy of the same being attached hereto as Exhibit 1 and incorporated herein by reference as if set forth herein at length verbatim. Resolved this 14th day of March 2013. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
And the second, was that Commissioner Schaefer and Commissioner McAdoo? You would like to address the...
Oh, I just got a question. Will Hendersonville and Mount Juliet Industrial Board have to issue bonds? Are we funding the whole project?
No, the statute allows the borrower, in this case it's Goodwill Industry, to ask one county to approve all three, and there is some economy of scale in doing that because you don't have the cost of issuance.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes. Any other questions?
And by the way, I will say, you notice this is revenue bonds. This is not a tax abatement request.
Okay. Any other questions? Can we vote? Brian's not there with us anymore, so we still, all right. Let's, we're supposed to have a roll call, but this is money. I'm going to see how many in favor of this. Please hold your hand up, and I'll see if this is unanimous, so that's okay. Let the record reflect it's unanimous. All right, continue on. Now,
Item K2H, a resolution authorizing funding for the design of Smyrna Primary School expansion. Whereas the population in Rutherford County continues to increase, which is causing a strain on the Rutherford County school system, and whereas the Rutherford County Board of Education is proposing to construct an addition to the Smyrna Primary School at a cost of $2,506,288, including design, furniture, fixtures, engineering, and construction to be completed by August 2014. And whereas the estimated cost for the design of the Smyrna Primary Addition is $105,000. Therefore, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that $105,000 be appropriated for the design of an addition to the Smyrna Primary School, with the funding to be provided internally from Fund 189, Other Capital Projects Fund. Resolved this 14th day of March 2013. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
second, Commissioner Jordan. Now, any questions? Commissioner Sandlin.
Mr. Chairman, in budget the other night, I brought up some questions that this got on the floor pretty quick about funding these things, and I don't think there was any argument that these two items here that we're getting ready to see, this one and the next one for the Blackman addition, is not needed. I don't think there was any question that it's not needed. I think it's the spending of the dollars right now on both of these, and they both tie in with one another. I just think we're a little ahead of our preliminary budget hearings that we're doing, and the mayor is doing right now with all the departments. We're looking at SROs. We just saw for the other night that was down below the PowerPoint thing there of, it's not Lisa's wish list, I guess it's our wish list, or other things for us to look at that all had a dollar figure attached to them. And it excuse me. And it just made me nervous about officially spending this money now. So I hope there's great discussion about these two items right here. And it's not the point that it's not needed. I think if we can build on or add on to a school without having to build a new school, we definitely want to do that. But we need to talk about what's all on the plate right now and what that dollar number is. And are we going to have a tax increase or are we not? What are we going to spend? What are we going to buy? What are we going to do? So I think all this thing, if we wait another month, I think Health and Ed had it somewhat presented to them maybe in January. They looked at it again in February, and then they decided on it in March, and then it came to budget once, and then now it's to you, us, as a whole. So let's talk about it a little bit here before we vote on something that we regret later.
Commissioner Farley.
I guess I'll ask a question because I wasn't on budget and I hadn't heard it. I wasn't on Health and Ed, but why is it coming before the budget process right now? Can anybody answer?
I think it's coming because the school board thinks that they need it in this time frame so that they can open these schools in the fall of 2014, or they won't be able to do it if they don't get started. They can address that, but Commissioner Baum wants to speak, and he may address that even.
Well, I do want to relay a few points that were mentioned in the Budget Committee meeting last Thursday. I believe these school projects are needed. I believe they're necessary, and they look like a cost-effective way to provide education for more students. But I do think we have to look at the amount of money we'll be spending. I ran some quick numbers. It looks like these two projects combined, and I'm lumping this item with the next item on the agenda together, would require us to borrow about $11 million over a 20-year period at a 3.5% rate of interest. This is going to be about $760,000 or $770,000 a year in debt in payments to service that debt. Now, it may be debatable whether the debt service account has the money in it to make those payments or not. It's not exactly clear. But even if the debt service account does have the money to make that payment, again, let's say it's $770,000 a year, we do have the ability to reallocate tax dollars from one account to another. So by committing this money right now, it limits our flexibility to fund other things. And I can mention a few of the other items that have been discussed somewhat. One is the judicial building. One is SROs. A third one is increased costs for our employees' health insurance. One of the points Commissioner Sandlin was making a moment ago that I do agree with is this seems like a necessary project, but it's occurring. The funding for the project seems to be occurring about a month or a month and a half before our normal budgeting process. So if we vote on this tonight, we're making a decision without really having a clear picture of what our revenues are going to be and what we can afford. Let me just create a hypothetical scenario, and this is just as an example. What if we find out in a month and a half that we either have enough money for these schools or we have enough money for the SROs, but to do them both requires a tax increase? There may be commissioners here who would be willing to raise taxes to fund both of them, but I feel like we ought to have that information before we commit an amount of money this large. I know education is a high priority for a lot of commissioners. I supported the Stewart's Creek High School project from its inception throughout. But at that time, it was relatively clear to me how it was going to be paid for. And it was clear to me that we had some ability to service those debt payments. At this point, compared to that project 2 years ago, it seems a lot less clear to me how this $11 million debt payment would be serviced, how we would find the money to pay $770,000 a year in debt service payments. It may be the case that in a month and a half we have it, but it might also be the case that we don't have it. I don't want to delay these projects. I know that the one we're discussing right now for Smyrna is wanting to be opened in September of 2014, so that's soon. I don't want to delay these projects, but I think we're about a month or a month and a half ahead of knowing really what we can afford and what we can't afford, at least with regards to a tax increase.
Commissioner Jordan, and then Commissioner Young, please.
Well, we had a great deal of discussion about this, and actually I thought the argument would be on the next one, because this one we're only funding the design, because the design has to be done if we do it or not. We can put that design on a shelf and use it next year. One of the problems with the timing is it takes a little over a year to build a school. You can't approve it the 1st of June and get it designed and stuff and have it open by August. A school opens in November is worthless. Students are already in school. You might as well wait till next year to approve it. And then it's going to get opened, be right at budget time next year. But if you want to approve it when the budget's going through the budget process, you're going to have a school finishing up about November. And it's going to sit there till the whole next fall, or you're going to shuffle a whole bunch of kids in the middle of the year. And so every year, every time there's an elementary school, high schools are a little longer. They come in earlier. Elementary schools come in about this time of year. The school board batted this around for several months. Health Ned batted it around for 2 months, sent it on the budget, and we fussed at them about presenting us with numbers too soon. They have to wait till they get their enrollment and everything else to know what's projected. And so this has been in the works for quite a while. I don't know if it's a rule that has to be 2 months in every committee, but like I said before, I think our argument's on the next agenda item because that's the one that's presented. Mr. Clardy said he really didn't have that time to spare on that middle school project. But on this one, it's just a design that can go up on the shelf. But if you wait till the budget time, which would be a perfect world when to do it, you might as well just keep on waiting because it's not going to be ready in time for 2014. You're going to have a school opening in the middle of the year.
Mr. Young.
I got a question about the funding. I know the City of Murfreesboro, the City Council approved, it was last week or the week before, they're going to build a K-6 elementary school on the west side of town off Veterans Parkway. That's been approved by the Murfreesboro City Council, and I know Blackman Middle serves 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. Is there going to be a shared revenue with the City of Murfreesboro in this, and what will that be to, I guess, it would be for that middle school, and I just want to make sure that the city's getting their fair share because they are educating students as well, and what that cost would be.
I did not bring those sheets on how much we'll have to share. I don't know if some of budget remembers that, what those numbers are. But yes, if we're borrowing for an elementary school, we will share. If we borrow for a middle school, we'll share on a third.
That number is in that number. I think that Commissioner Baum, it's included there. Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Baum. You can report on that.
I'm adding two different figures together because there's two different projects, the one we're discussing now and then the next one on the agenda item. But it looks like they add up to about $800,000. That's the city portion.
Yes, that was included in Lisa's projections. Commissioner Schaefer?
Well, middle schools are 6th, 7th, and 8th. Yeah. And so we only have 6th grade at Blackman. There's you got to think, the additions, we've kind of asked the school board to look at those because the big thing with an addition that you don't have with a new school are those core facilities. You don't have the cafeteria. And right now, if you look at some of our high schools, maybe all our high schools, I don't know, but they're starting like around 9:30 or even earlier in the morning to feed the kids that are in those schools, and they finish around 1:30 in the afternoon. So you see, it takes, what I'm getting at is it takes a long time. But that's why if we don't start and get this school open, the middle schools that are in proximity to it are all over the 800 limit, which is the ideal for our middle schools. And they're all either rapidly approaching or over the 1,000, which is what they can really handle. And so, we're not, if you, where did I just see it? That our metropolitan area, which includes Nashville, is 44th fastest growing in the country. Clarksville's even ahead of it. But we get through 2010, 11, and 12, we're averaging 4.5% a year in growth. I think Williamson's ahead of us, is the only one percentage-wise. We've got 275,000 estimated at the end of 2012. 2010 census said we had 262. So we're rapidly, you always think how big Hamilton County is, Chattanooga. Well, we're rapidly catching them. and we will catch them one of these days with what we have to offer here. The alternative, if you don't get the schools built, I believe it was the budget that school board said the superintendent said that the last portables we bought were 2007. You know, if we try and move some from another school or something, if we can with the opening of the high school, how many of them are going to fall apart on the way? You can't, you know, even when they're new, you don't want to move them unless you have to. But as they get older and the wear and tear on it, that's something else we have to think. And you got to think of what your priorities. Is the priorities roads? Is the priority the judicial building? The judicial building, if it came necessary, we could have Saturday court. You know, that's the way I'm just saying this. You got to decide tonight's the night you got to decide what your priorities are. Whether you want to get portables. I believe we were told by the school board that a double Y is $80,000 now. You know, it's what, 40 to 45, 46 kids total in that. Think of how many of them. So there's just some thoughts to consider. It's rough. I was involved up here with the sticker shock when we did the 2 Stewart's Creek schools. We're going to do Laverne Middle, Laverne Lake at the same time. And lo and behold, but what happened? We appropriated $39 million, which we thought was going to cover it. And we got the sticker shock when it came back, and that was going to fund 2 of those schools. And then we had to make more decisions. That's what you're going to be faced with, and they're not good ones. So you got about 10 minutes to come up with your answer.
I'd like to remind us, and Commissioner Jordan did remind us the point well taken. We have to, these seem to be linked together. They are linked together, but we have to deal with the only motion on the floor now is the resolution authorizing the funding for the design of the Smyrna Primary School. So if we can focus in on that, even though we can't quite separate ourselves, I know that will help us move forward. Commissioner Jordan, and then Commissioner McAdoo.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, that's exactly what I was going to say. The motion on the floor refers to a design fee of a little over $100,000 that can, and evidently, and I think quite properly, we're not debating, and matter of fact, just about everybody has prefaced their remarks by saying something about these projects desperately or clearly are needed, or words to that effect. This design fee to get the Smyrna Primary, perhaps on a future renovation and a small addition and so forth, is critical to the 535 students that were there in February when we, I believe that was January, a figure. And I think I think we need to limit our discussion on everything Commissioner Schaefer just said. I think it's exactly right, but it applies to the next item. So let's get to the next item, and I urge you to vote yes on this design for Smyrna Primary, please.
Mr. McAdoo.
Well, I heard mention of the time frame, a month and a half. I think we got the school engineer here. I would like to suspend the rule and bring the school engineer up here to talk to us on the time frame of renovating these schools.
And a motion to second. Is all in favor of that, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Come forward, Mr. Clardy or Mr. Odom. You can, either of those that you choose.
First of all, I'd just like to say that the county has quite a bit of money in reserve or ending fund balance. And the ending fund balance makes it possible for the county to have such a great bond rating. So what is the rating now, Lisa?
AA plus AA.
And what percentage? And what percentage rate is our interest rate on that now?
The ones that we just did, the large piece was 2.42.
2.42. So I just wanted to make the point I heard earlier that we should, spend the balance, the ending fund balance that we have every year. But the thing about that's what allows us the conservative approach that this commission has taken over the years has allowed this county to function like it has and to actually just kind of stay right behind the curve of being caught up on the school. So I commend everyone for that. Now I get to what I wanted to say. We need to get the design started on that. We can wait for the construction, but on Smyrna Primary, I think that's the one that's going on, and that will include the design for new library and media center, cafeteria serving and dining expansion, new entrance canopy, and 7 classrooms. And this is all needed. We have several portables up there now that we're using. And with these new classrooms, that will free up some portables for that end of the county. Construction on this small of a project, we're used to doing larger projects. On this small of a project can start sometime. We'd like to get started and get the footings in the ground before the weather gets nasty again next year. And we've managed to dodge that bullet on everything we've done by starting early enough. You get bogged down in weather, it runs the cost up. So I'd say we need to get started in at least late summer or early fall. We need to go ahead and get our design done. We can get our bids in. We're at this point where our economy is, I think we have to worry about inflation. We're seeing some prices that are rising now. Plywood, for instance, went up from $7.25 last year to $14.75 this year. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I just want to make the point that we do need to get started. And we appreciate your vote, because a no vote on this is a vote for portables and probably some rezoning.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clardy. We're going to, without objection, when we get to the next agenda item, since I think it's a little different approach on the timing, Commissioner McAdoo, if you will allow us, we'll let him come back on the next agenda item, because I think the middle school is a little different approach, and he'll have something even different to say about that. All right, we're on the resolution regarding the funding for the design of Smyrna Primary. Now, we have 2 people up, and I don't know which one was up because I wasn't looking that direction. Commissioner Allen.
For those of you who were not able to attend the tour that we arranged of Smyrna Primary, I just want to remind you of a few things. That school is 50 years old, so its core was not built for the magnitude of population that we're flowing through there. So when you hear things like we're going to make additions, to the cafeteria, library, media center, in your mind, those sound like extras. Those sound like maybe things that they don't need, especially when you hear the phrase media center. Their library is a fraction of what it needs to be to service those students. I also don't know if you know that is a Title I school. So these are some of the most, underprivileged of all of our constituents that attend this school. They have an extremely high English as a second language population. So as we prioritize tonight and we think about, the people that we want to help and what our priorities are and where our tax dollars need to be spent, there's no more deserving group in this county today than these families that attend this school. Another point that I think we all get really excited whenever we hear that, the building is up and that, there's more single-family dwellings that are being built, more building permits being issued, impact fees. I've been on Planning Commission long enough to know new growth does not pay for itself. And so we get excited about the people coming. Well, guess what? This is the price of doing business when they come, and they're here. And, I had a conversation with Harry Gill when I first got on planning, because I never understood why we didn't take into account whether or not a school was overcrowded when we approved a new subdivision. And we spent a lot of time, a lot of research, subcommittees, really chased that rabbit. And the bottom line was, he said to me, they won't let me build the school until the kids come. And so you can't build it ahead of time. You can't position a school and then let the building come up around it, although eventually we know that is what happens. So guess what? The kids are here. And it's our responsibility to educate them. I asked for the whole kit and caboodle. I wanted the whole, amount to not only design it, but to also go ahead and fund and build it. And I'll be right back up here asking for that when the time comes. So you need to think long and hard before you say no to this. It's a small project. This is a landlocked school. These are deserving kids and families. I know you think we can say that about every family, but I'm telling you, if you want education to be good in this county, and you want our graduation rate to be high, you want to partner with junior colleges and get college courses, in our high schools, and you want to get the jobs coming to this community, this is where it starts. It starts right here at this school with this vote. Thank you.
Commissioner Sandlin.
Commissioner, I do not argue with you a bit on that at all. And I was proud to see Mr. Clardy come up and say a few words. Mr. Odom, Mr. Sandvik, budget spoke very well. Mr. Clardy wasn't able to make it that night, but we've got a good team right back there, no doubt. I mean, look at our school system. I'll bank it against any of them in any surrounding county or state of Tennessee and a lot of other states as well. And we've done this together. It hasn't been one commissioner or one mayor or one superintendent. We've all had to do this together. Only thing I'm saying, and this is not about the kids or about the school addition. This is about funding it. So many times we'll fund a little design phase of something, and we funded that, now we got to build it. So we're looking at $2.5 million. Not, in reality, not that much compared to a new school like you're talking about and helping situation out down there. I didn't hear for sure that that's going to relieve all the portables. I don't think it will. This is 7 classrooms, so I don't think it's going to totally remove that. But the thing about budget, in our position on budget, is what are we going to do this year? How much is it going to cost? Do we have the money, or we're going to have a tax increase? Commissioner Baumann said that, I've said that, and some others have said that. That's the question. So if we're going to do it, is this go to the front and we not do the SRO program? Or do we not do some of these other things? That's what I'm trying to get an answer to. So if we're pushing this up to the front, I just want to know. And I'm on board. But something's going to have to be moved over. It's going to have to wait till next year or the next or something, because that's budgeting. Otherwise, it's a knee-jerk reaction to fix something or put a Band-Aid on something, and we're not using our taxpayer dollars wisely. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Gordon.
Commissioner Allen, who organized the tour down there, and it was extremely helpful. Dr. Vogel and the school staff gave us a terrific tour, and I understand what Commissioner Sandlin just said, that we're talking about funded, not that the children do not need this, or the faculty, or our county in general. That won't stop me, however, from talking. If she wants to have an assembly at her school, she can put them all in the gym and they can sit down on the floor. There's no seats. She has serious cafeteria problems and space problems there, and we want to double, I believe, Mr. Clardy, the lunch lines, so that they can serve more people and won't have to serve them, as Commissioner Schaefer was just talking about, at 9:45 in the morning. She also wanted, and this will answer your question, Mr. Sandlin, I believe, and the director's here. He can speak to this if we want to hear from him. She has 4 portables on that property. One of them got in such bad condition, falling apart. There again, what Commissioner Schaefer was talking about, that she had to convert that from a classroom to a place where the maintenance could store their equipment and cleaning supplies, et cetera, et cetera. The other 3, and she cost her computer room, I believe, when she did that. Now, I don't know if there's any other schools in the county that don't have a computer room in the year 2013, but she doesn't. The three other portables contain classrooms, classes, and the two of them have no water. So if a child, now imagine yourself that these are real people, okay, people. Imagine yourself working there in the office. If a kindergartner, wants to go to the bathroom from one of those portables, somebody in the office, they radio over, somebody in the office goes to the front door, rain, sleet, or snow, and watches that child cross the parking lot and come in and then escorts them back. Now, these are kindergartners. We've got a lot of parents in here. Imagine how many times a day that must happen. The media center that Commissioner Allen spoke of will be, I believe, a little more than doubled in size, and those portables will be moved because this design and eventual building will put classrooms in that space. Am I right, Mr. Director? Okay, he says I'm right. So let's get the design fee going. And then if we can fund it when the time comes, let's fund it. And let's help these kids who, Commissioner Allen really was very nice. These kids are powerless, except for us. Thank you.
Commissioner McAdoo.
Well, it's very seldom I go out and tour, but I particularly went to tour this school. And as each commissioner know, I'm very, very conservative, and I watch the dollars, but this school is in bad shape. I'm concerned about even with the number of students that they have in there, fire marshal concerned, cafeteria, it was outdated, it is in need of repair. If I had seen this school prior to building Stewartburg, Blackman, and all the other schools, this would be the number one priority in Rutherford County to get this school up to date. So I'm definitely going to support the design of it.
All right, any other discussion on this? Are we ready to vote? If we are ready to vote, it appears. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Schaefer? Yes. Commissioner Black? Yes. Commissioner Jordan? Yes. Commissioner P? Yes. Commissioner Cook? Yes. Commissioner Jernigan? Yes. Commissioner Farley?
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin? Aye. Commissioner Turner? Yes. Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Coggin?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner McAdoo?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch? Yes. Commissioner Sereno? Yes. 19 yes, 1 no.
Thank you. Commissioner Ely.
Item K2I, a resolution authorizing the funding for the design and construction of Blackman Middle School Annex. Whereas the Rutherford County Board of Education is proposing to construct an annex for the Blackman Middle School to be completed by August 2014 in order to relieve overcrowding at the school. And whereas the estimated cost to construct the annex is $7,400,133, including design, furniture, fixtures, engineering, and construction. Therefore, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that construction of an annex for Blackman Middle School be approved at a cost of $7,400,133, with all or a portion of the design funds totaling $309,000 to be funded internally from Fund 189, Other Capital Projects Fund, and the balance of the funding to be provided from a future borrowing. Resolved this 14th day of March 2013. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Second, Commissioner P. Now, any discussion? Commissioner Sandlin.
Same issue. Like I said, it's not about the kids. This is about whether we're ready to spend $7 million, $7.5 million. Matter of fact, let's make that $8 million, just to sum that up with design and everything. So if this is being pushed to the front, let us know, because something's got to go at the other end. Simple as that. What you want to pay for.
Commissioner McAdoo, we'd ask for the school board to speak, so if no one objects, without objection, is it okay for either Mr. Odom or Mr. Clardy to address the timing on this particular project? No objections, so one of you may come forward and tell us about that.
Thank you, Mayor Burgess and commissioners. Really, you've been very good to us as a school system over the years, and I want to commend you for that. I guess what I want you to realize, and I'll talk about some of the time frame, we grew 1,000 students this year, and that was a time when we thought the economy was down. And you know, 1,000 students, we typically build our elementary and middle for 850 to 1,000. That's a 2.6% growth. I guess the thing that shocked me a little this week when I opened the News Journal said 4.5%, but that's over 2 years. So that tells me from 2010 to 12, if I remember the article correctly. But that says that we're going a little faster in the school system than basically we are the population. That doesn't surprise me, because typically when we have younger families move in, they'll have 2 or 3 children. You know, that's something we can do. The other little point that I want to make to you, because I heard, and some of you were not in health and ed or budget and finance, and that's why I want to let you know this. How about rezoning? What can we do? I'm going to read you some totals of our middle schools. Now, and remember, we're supposed to cut off at 1,000. Laverne Middle School has 1,051. Rock Springs Middle School has 999. Stewart's Creek Middle, our newest middle in that, most of them, is 840. Oakland Middle School's got 1035. Siegel Middle's got 1,003, and Blackman Middle's got 1,006. We do not have reserve capacity. That's the bottom line. The state is very adamant in their pupil-teacher ratios. They have a fine so high that I've never known of a school system not to follow that. And the fine is between $45,000 and $65,000 per oversized class. The highest being the high school with $65,000, and they count it every time the kids change a class period. So they've made it ridiculously high when it's just not an option for you. I guess as I look at this and think about the timing and the funding, we obviously are talking about, and it is with a double-wide portable and the setup cost, the ramps, all of the things that we have to do to meet that runs about $80,000. I just really do not want to recommend to the school board and then have to come back to the commission that we spend any more $80,000 amounts on portables. I think that's an unwise thing for us as a county. Mr. Clardy said something that I hope you kind of picked up on too. We're now on the cusp of, it looks like a return. The economy is getting better. If we can bid this thing on the front end of that, it doesn't take but just a little bit to make up whatever cost it's going to take you to go ahead and do this early. Because if you wait very long and you come back in the period of time when other businesses and other entities are bidding, then your bidding costs go up. The design for this, what we're talking about doing, about 5 months. Mr. Clardy's given me the sign. If you want to hear him, we'll talk about it. The design is about 5 months to do that. We'd like to, again, start at the fall so we could open in August of 2014. I mean, that's our desire to try to meet that, because we'll have to do something if we cannot get into it in that time. We're doing something unique here. That's a very large middle school. I'm not crazy about that size, and I've said that all along to the board. I'll say it to you tonight. But Mr. Clardy and his team has come up with a design that will work. And they have in Wilson County. They're experiencing growth similar to what we are. They have some very large middle schools, too. You're probably talking 1,400 or so, what you're talking about. But the design that's been for this is to really build a 6th grade academy. And the way we would do that is we would come out for our core capacity. We really don't have to change anything much as far as the cooking area in the cafeteria, but we're going to come out from the existing seating area and build a smaller area, again, for them to seat those 6th graders. We're also building, at the same time, we're building the classroom space to accommodate this. One playroom at the end. It's not got bleachers and things and all for it, but we're required to get students through physical education classes. That's one of the requirements. So what you're going to see is basically this sixth grade group will be in this academy, and you're not going to have large numbers of students that will be crossing each other. Maybe when they go to the library or something like that, but we'll be able to contain most of even their resource classes, the things that's devoted to that sixth grade, in this wing. Another thing I want to remind you, the sixth grade has a 1 to 25 pupil-teacher ratio. When you get to 7th and 8th, it's 1 to 30. So it does take more for us to accommodate those sixth graders. So I hope that you'll look favorably on this evening. We're definitely going to need the space. We'll have to do something else if we don't do it, and that's basically portable is what I'm telling you, because we can't rezone and accomplish that. And the other thing, I think our cost will be a little better if we can get started on it very quickly. Any additional questions? I'll be glad to try. Or
Mr. Schaefer, do you want to ask a question? Yes, sir.
Mr. Odom, from listening to what you said, it sounds like that this annex is going to have enough room for 40 to 50% of the amount of students that are at Blackman Middle School right now. Would that be pretty good?
Yes, sir. I think it would. Yes, sir. We know Blackman's growing. So, I mean, you ask us to think out of the box, and that's exactly what the board's doing with this plan, is to try to think out of the box and not expenditure for the whole new school, but see what we can maximize.
All right. Any other questions of Mr. Odom? Mr. Furley?
What will the total number of students be once this is added?
As you start out, but I think we could accommodate somewhere around 1,400, wouldn't you think? I mean, that's something what we're thinking at that 1 to, and of course you got your 30 to 1, which you can do from 7th and 8th, but that 6th grade consumes it rather quickly.
Well, you've got Scales, you've got Cason Lane, you've got Blackman Elementary, then you've got the new school that the city's fixing to build. So you've actually got 4 elementary schools that are going to be feeding this one middle school within a 2-mile radius of the middle school, basically.
And that school is going faster than and you saw some of the city figures the other day where we said 2.6 for our whole district. They were in terms of over 3% to 4% just in that area. And we see the similar numbers for that area.
Okay, we have a couple here. Commissioner Allen and then Commissioner Jordan.
In addition to all the feeder schools, I was thinking you also told us in committee, or just made a good point, that this middle school is in a unique situation and that it is surrounded by a very large number of high-density complexes. So when you've got a lot of high-density family homes surrounding any one school, it's going to naturally drive those numbers up. So where you're not comfortable typically with the going over 1,000, in this situation you really don't have a choice.
And that's been our issue with, if you've been following us on Blackman Elementary has 1,100 students now for an elementary, and that's where we've had so many portables there. And basically it is high-density apartment dwellings that are developing around that school. And so we obviously have no control over that, but simply to react. But that is correct.
Mr. Jordan.
Mr. Odom, you said we've grown around 1,000 students this year. What was that number a year ago?
519. And that's what really surprised me, because if you look back, I think it was 2006, and some of you were on the commission, then we grew 1,800 students in Rutherford County schools. That number has ranged typically between that 1,000 and that 1,800 in all the years prior to last year. And when we grew that 519, I kind of took a little deep breath and said, well, maybe it's going to level a little bit. So I was absolutely surprised. And it's exactly 1,000 between the 4th month in and the 4th month a year ago and today. So we did grow a full 1,000. So it makes me think that we have turned in Rutherford County. The growth seems to be returning.
In our 5-year projections the last several years, it showed added capacity on this same timeline. No offense to Commissioner Sandlin, but this is not out of the blue. We've all known either this or something else was coming. Because, and to all of us, if we're going to grow 1,000 plus students a year, we're going to create a school a year in the future just to stay where we are. And the problem is as our growth gets to be a bigger number and stays at whatever percent, that 1,000 becomes 1,100, then 1,200, then 1,400, then 1,500. So we're going to get to 2 schools a year, in 10 more years or something like that, theoretically. But we've got to do something to put these kids somewhere.
All right. Any other questions for Mr. Odom? Well, thank you, Mr. Director. We'll continue this discussion. All right, we have a motion on the floor regarding the authorization of the funding for the design and construction of Blackman Middle School. Other discussion? Commissioner Sandlin.
I was going to see if we could have a motion on what the tax rate's going to be, but I'm probably not going to get that because we don't know. That's the point, Commissioner. That's the point. We don't know. So I guess we're going to move this up front, and that's fine. But what we've said on budget, a few of us did, is let's get the picture before we vote on the funding. And of course, this is the design phase, but we're committing because we've got an estimate here, and a lot of estimates come in. Well, we were a couple of 100,000 short, or $500,000 short or whatever. I'm just saying, just remember, folks, on those who absolutely are going to vote no on a property tax increase, you're saying yes to a couple things right here that's got to be paid for. That's it, in a nutshell. It's no offense. I'm not arguing with you. I'm not upset with you. I just be prepared to vote to pay for it when it comes to time to pay for it. Thank you.
Other discussion? There appears to be no other one that wishes to speak. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Madam Clerk, I'm awful happy that you always start with me leading the way. I'll vote yes.
Commissioner Black?
I'll vote no.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Cook? Yes. Commissioner Jernigan? Yes. Commissioner Farley?
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin? Commissioner Turner? No. Commissioner Allen? Yes. Commissioner Stevens? No. Commissioner Jordan? Yes. Commissioner Baum? No. Commissioner Coggin? No. Commissioner Young? No. Commissioner Phillips? Aye. Commissioner McAdoo? No. Commissioner Ely? Yes. Commissioner Gooch? Yes. Commissioner Sereno? Yes. Twelve yes, 8 no.
Motion carried. Continue, Mrs. Ely.
Item K2J, a report on debt obligation regarding the general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2013A non-taxable bonds and 2013B federally taxable bonds. And ladies and gentlemen of the Commission, this is for information only. We do not need to take any action. If you will notice in the first part of your packet on the report of debt obligation for the non-taxable bonds, you will notice the interest cost for these was 2.42. You will notice that in box number 11. And there was a savings of $3,768,853.94. On the second series, the taxable bonds, if you'll notice in that same box number 11, the interest on that series was 1.58, and the savings on that series was $1,537,369.62, with a total of savings for both of those refundings at $5.3 million. And this is a report only, no action required of the Commission tonight.
Thank you, Commissioner Ely, and thank all of you for this ability to do this refunding and accomplish these savings, and especially thank our Finance Director, Ms. Nolan, for taking the leadership on all of this. Okay, Health and Education Committee, no report. Property Management Committee, no report. Public Safety Committee, no report. And we do have one resolution from the Public Works and Planning Committee, and Commissioner Turner will be making that presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Whereas the attached proposal between Rutherford County, Tennessee and the State of Tennessee Department of Transportation for construction of a project designated as State Project Number 75027-2225-14 that is described as SR-266 Jefferson Pike from SR 102 to east of State Road 840 in the county of Rutherford. A copy of said proposal being attached hereto as Exhibit 1 and incorporated herein at length as if set forth verbatim. And whereas it is in the best interest of the citizens of Rutherford County for the county to enter into said proposal for the betterment of the community. Now therefore be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that Rutherford County hereby approves the proposal for construction of a project designated as State Project Number 75027-2225-14 that is described as SR-266 Jefferson Pike from SR 102 to east of SR 840 in Rutherford County. Be it further resolved that the appropriate officials for and on behalf of Rutherford County be and hereby are authorized to execute for and on behalf of Rutherford County any and all documents required by said proposal with the State of Tennessee Department of Transportation. Resolved this 14th day of March 2013. Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Second by Commissioner Black and Commissioner Jordan. Is there any other business? Mr. Turner, motion to adjourn. Do we have a second? Who is? I'm sorry, my error there. Thank you, Commissioner. All in favor of the resolution regarding the Public Works resolution on Jefferson Pike, please say aye. 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 All right, now, we had a motion. Was this motion adjourned from Commissioner Turner? Do we have a second? Second. Oh, Commissioner Stevens. Mr. Shannon has risen.
Yes, just a couple of things. Myself and Mr. Coggin are shaving our heads. I think he's doing his tomorrow night. I won't actually be doing mine until Saturday morning. So you'll be a little cooler before I will. So we're doing St. Baldrick's, Bald in the Borough, and we'd love to have the commissioners' donations, both of us. So I don't know, thousands of dollars each would probably be fine. So it's going to cancer research. I did this thing last year. Proud to see the commissioner jump on this year. Let's bring 4 or 5 other commissioners in with us then the next year. So go Bald for cancer research. We need your money. Thanks.
Okay, there being no other business before us, we are adjourned. Thank you.